everyone. My name is Pedro Nunes. I am an etoro popular investor, and this is my monthly video, which I call Investment Dossier. This is the first of the year, so it is very important to make a review about the past year. 2022 was a very difficult year in terms of investing. We had very high inflation in the sequence of the post-COVID scenario, and as a result of the Ukraine war, and the Fed started to tighten the monetary policy. And in the end of the year, there was a perception that maybe the rates will be higher than expected. So the S&P 500 gave some of the gains in the last month. In terms of results, the portfolio had similar results to the S&P 500 index, which in a certain way is good because the portfolio, although having some protective assets like bonds and commodities, also have some more riskier assets like tech stocks and even crypto. So a performance like the S&P 500, in a certain way, it can be seen as a good result. I also compare my results with some top etoro popular investors, the top of the top popular investors, and I had better results than my top reference, and this is also very important to me. Of course, in a multi-year perspective, since my strategy changed, the results are good only in a 1-year timeline, but I'm very confident that with the time passing, the results will be very good in a long-term perspective in terms of trying to beat the benchmark, namely trying to beat the benchmark, the S&P 500 index. In terms of 2023, my perspective is that most of the negative news are already priced in, but there are still significant risks, which are the same risks that were present in the 2022 scenario: the high persistence inflation, the tightening of the Fed, the Ukraine conflict. These risks are still present, but as I said, I think most of them are already priced in. Since we have a bear market with more than a year, I think the perspective should be that we should position ourselves for the future with a long-term view, with good companies that will endure and have good results in the future. Although I don't see in the short term, namely in the first half of the year, a very positive scenario for recuperation. So I would say that although I have some protective measures, I am almost fully invested with the portfolio. The portfolio had during 2022 different percentage of cash reserve, but in the late part of 2022, I reduced the cash reserve because I think that we must position ourselves for the future, and I still believe it, despite we might have a new drop down, and this is a possible scenario. What are the things I'm doing with the portfolio that I began doing in 2022, in the second part of 2022, and I'm still doing? I am reducing the number of assets for many reasons. First, by removing assets that are like some of the growth companies that are very sensitive to high interest rates. But there are other reasons. Another reason, it's because I feel living in Portugal, living in Europe, there are some companies that I don't have enough information and I don't understand them in a complete way, like someone that lives in the United States, for instance. We tend to see mainly the US market, and is the market which I have more stocks in my portfolio, about 40%. But there are companies that I understand perfectly, but there are other companies that don't exist in Europe, and I feel that I am running towards others' opinion. I also feel like it's best for me to reduce the number of stocks in the portfolio, to monitor them in a better way. I think in some way this is like Warren Buffett said, that we can't keep up with too many companies with the portfolio. It's very difficult. Sometimes I want to add new positions, but I try not to add new positions if I don't close another ones. So I'm trying not to increase the number of assets in my portfolio. In this scenario, I'm also trying to have very good diversification, not only in terms of bonds, as I said, also in terms of geography. The bonds were highly affected in 2022, and there are many people who say that they can have a better risk reward in 2023, but it is a situation that we must monitor very carefully. And even Forex, there were in 2022 a big appreciation of the dollar. If the situation improves, we will see the dollar dropping. And of course, there is the other commodities like gold. We can see gold as a safe haven asset. So diversification will be very important, at least in the beginning of 2023. If we see an improving, maybe we will have a more riskier perspective for the rest of the year. Despite of that, I opened a 1% position in Bitcoin, which shows that the portfolio is looking for the future and is opening the door to some riskier assets. This was my January investment dossier. I hope to see you again in the next month.